Hello everybody, welcome to another single collection. This is episode 2, where I'll be going over this week's singles, seeing whatever's not good, whatever's good, and whatever's just alright. So, yeah, let's just go into it. I've got about 16 of these. So, starting off, we have Unprocessed Solara, which features Paleface Swiss. So, Paleface Swiss was the first album I reviewed this year with Cursed, and while it's not a bad album, by any means. It's certainly not a great one, for sure. Some of the inspirations they have was just very intricate, and the fact that this band kind of went from the deathcore sound to something that felt more new metalcore was really interesting, to say the least. But yeah, and I think having the kind of modern sound of Paleface Swiss in a unprocessed song certainly was not on my cards, and I think as a result it just wasn't that great of a song, unfortunately. I think by unprocessed standards it's probably one of the worst songs they've dropped ever, to be honest, but it's not actually that bad. Minus the kind of cringy new metal sort of rapping, just the vocals on there, I just don't really think these two worlds would collided that well. I think Unprocessed, even instrumentally, certainly was not one of the most intricate. I mean, this is the band that's had some absolute insane guitar work on the and everything in between. And while I've absolutely loved the new singles we had, there's been Sacrifice Me, Dark Silent and Complete, and Snow Lover. For this new record that's coming out this year in October, this is probably the first single I think, maybe it's not as good. And even so, I'd say while I love the album so far with the singles we've had, even the guitar work just isn't as interesting as much as the last record. Feels like they're trying to play more on different aspects and trying to be quirky with all these new ideas they want to experiment with, and that's fine, but it's trying to make other bits more popular and stand out, and I think they're just doing that with features as well that just don't really need to be there. So if you're not a big fan of the metalcore aspect, the new metalcore aspect, I don't know how people are going to feel about having the lead singer of Fever 333, a band that also plays into similar territory with rap and metal like this. So yeah, it's just okay, to be honest. The new one by Fleshwater, Last Escape, this is a big step up from Jetpack. Jetpack's fine, but I just felt like it was a very tame, in comparison to their debut record, We're Not Meant to Be Loved sort of sound, and it just didn't really feel like it did much with it. It just kind of did something basic Fleshwater could, and Last Escape isn't the best song. I feel like this album already is nowhere near as good as it's going to be with the debut, but there's definitely a lot more interest with this one. I feel like instrumentally it's just more engaging, there's just a lot more kind of classic Fleshwater fans would like, and I can appreciate that. I've loved the debut. I remember when this came out, I just thought this was insane, and yeah, I'm still enjoying it, although I feel like if we're going to keep getting this kind of stuff, I do kind of miss Vein FM a bit, but we'll have to see. Maybe the rest of the album will be insanely good from this point on. But yeah, this is a good single. I thought this one was quite good. Shame Spartak. So this is Shame's third single of their upcoming album Cutthroat, which comes out pretty soon. Just saying. But I can't say I like this one much. I was kind of mixed on Quiet Life, the second single, but I liked Cutthroat. I felt like it was kind of a mixed bag with the singles, but this one I kind of have to say it's not very enjoyable. It feels like instead of the post-punk sound they put in, it's just going for more of the indie rock blend. It feels very basic by the numbers into that sound. And also I remember seeing someone mention that this did sound like Wonder Horse The Rope with the instrumentation, and if you hear both the openings, yeah, I can definitely hear that. I mean, obviously it's a coincidence, but it just feels like they've done something that is pretty basic by their standards that other bands could also do that beforehand. So yeah, honestly, when it comes to this Shame single, I'm not feeling this one. It's kind of bad. Lorna Shore, Prison of Flesh. I think Lorna Shore has had a good single with Oblivion, and Unbreakable was fine, but Prison of Flesh isn't really any better than those two. The problem I have with the Lorna Shore lineup of singles is that it's definitely good quality deathcore. You've got some insane vocalists, it's really good, some great instrumentalists and good production. What more could you ask for? I think the only thing I'd really ask for is just a bit more diversity or just variety, because we're getting the same thing again. It's just you'll get your breakdowns in between the songs, which a lot of people are like, oh, that is really heavy, and it's obvious that you know it's coming because it's Lorna Shore. But the only time a breakdown from this actually got me was the end was actually pretty impressive, I won't lie. But most of the song was just kind of fine. It's just like, these songs being like 6 to 7 minutes aren't a bad feat, but when it's the same thing again, it just loses the edge. I think Oblivion just has the, oh, this is brand new Lorna Shore, and now we're just getting the same thing following it. It's not bad, I just don't think it's that engaging or that interesting. Rise Against Ricochet, so I am going to be posting a review of Rise Against soon, talking about it, but I want to go into more detail about Ricochet. I absolutely disliked it. I just don't understand what the direction is they're going for here. The sound is very different from what they're going for. They're kind of putting this kind of 80s, 90s rock groove, but like softer rock groove, but then also trying to put in some really shoddy production into it as well. It just feels like a very muddled mess of a record, and when they've actually had some good stuff in the past, it's surprising that this is the same band doing something like this, because even some of the later singles like Nowhere Generation still felt a lot stronger and felt like a song I could imagine from them. This just doesn't really work. Some of the other singles weren't that great, but this is probably the worst one. It just has the worst sound. I can't even, I can excuse some of the song's ideas but on other tracks, but this is the one I just cannot. I just don't know what they were thinking with this one, and it was just a huge point from that point in the album where it just never got better. This album was pretty disappointing, spoiler alert, but yeah, Ricochet is just one of the worst songs they've dropped. Very, very, very muddled and just very beyond bland and terrible. Savage Hands Trust Issues. Yeah, honestly, I think for new Savage Hands, it's good. It's just basically surpassable Savage Hands. I like their debut album quite a bit. I think The Truth in Your Eyes is such an amazing record, start to finish. It's just a lot of fun. Some good post-hardcore. That's just honestly engaging and does a lot of fun elements, fun instrumentation. Then they dropped an EP 2023, which I didn't get to review, Rock Bottom. That was pretty good as well. And then they dropped 2 singles, Reload Repeat and Trace Arrays, which Reload Repeat was actually one of my favourite songs, so it was a track of the week. For that week it came out, it was nice. But yeah, I feel like this is kind of standard. If this is the lineup for the new singles, probably wouldn't be as good as their debut if this is going to be for an album or an EP or whatever it is, but I think Trust Issues is fine. I think it's just it's got a catchy chorus. It's just got a decent sound overall, but they are basically going for the very similar feel that bands like Palisades, Caskets, Dayseeker are going for. And it's fine, it's just, yeah. But I did say the song was good. I just think that it's certainly not one of their best, but they've always been quite good at delivering, in my opinion. Solence, Wish You the Worst. Honestly, the lyrics to this is kind of a lot more of an average sound now, or at least it just kind of feels like more of an average band in the lyrics, because to me Solence kind of had these kind of weird, goofy lyrics that just felt really weird to put into a song you're trying to make big. But I mean, it worked. Animal and Me was quite a big hit at the time, at least it was quite big on YouTube. It's the biggest hit still, I think. Good fucking music also blew up as well. Earlier Solence, when I was following them pretty much religiously, because I remember when they were releasing singles still for their debut album, yeah, they were just kind of getting popular out of nowhere, but then now they're actually on a record label releasing music. They've kind of died down, but I've still been keeping track of them, of course. But yeah, it's surprising to see how much their sound's matured. So it's nice to see them kind of going for something that feels a lot more like Solent still. No, something that feels just kind of like out there as a standard electronic, hard rock, or electronic core, depending on what you want to say. They're not really metalcore. Out there with the Solent sound. But the weird thing with this is, I think the chorus is good, and the song, while it's not heavy as the previous, it is quite nice. Still overall, it just kind of has the standard Solence sound, but they did kind of ruin this by giving you these shocking moments where what they'll do sometimes in songs is just cram a bunch of insane ideas, make you think, wow, what a ride. It feels like they don't really pace themselves as well. You just get a bunch of random guitars, like really weird riffs. It feels like you'd be listening to kind of a copy of something like In Flames when they're doing solos or something like that, and then you just get electronic breakdown afterwards. It just kind of feels like a weird way to abruptly make a bridge, but yeah, minus that, I think the song itself is okay. I just wish it had a more natural flow. I Prevail, Annihilate Me, this basically screams Architect's Broken Mirror, but worse. I liked Broken Mirror quite a bit, so I kind of take offense to it. It's not a bad song, but it's very Octane Core by the numbers for sure. This is definitely I Prevail trying to reach into the mainstream radio with this one, and it's not a bad thing, but I mean, they released Violent Nature as well with these singles, and frankly, Violent Nature and I suppose Rain was decent as well. These were the better singles. Annihilate Me is just fine, but I don't really care about it. Acres Push Me Away, featuring Landon Tewers. Honestly, so Acres now actually has a release date for the album after the single came out, and considering the fact they released most of the songs separately as an EP, you could actually pay for the EP, and then you can pay for more music to add on to it, which is really weird, because you can pay for it as an EP, then you can pay for the album experience. It feels like, hey, you paid for pretty much the experience, now you pay for more of the experience, I think was the loadout for this, but don't quote me on that. I personally just found this very underwhelming, and very bland, and the fact they had Landon Tewers from The Plot in You, and he felt wasted here, was just disappointing. I mean, he's definitely been on some pretty dodgy, weak records and still managed to have one of the best moments, but I can't really recall anything from this. This definitely isn't shaping to be a pretty weak Acres album, unfortunately. Dance Gavin Dance, Space Cow Initiation Ritual featuring George Clinton. Probably one of the worst songs I think they've ever fabricated, and I know the fact that they had Lost Tillion, who was a core part to some of the best stuff, but like, they didn't have to be this bad. Let's just unravel my problems with this one. The feature I just don't think works at all. George Clinton just kind of feels very random on this song, like they just had to shoehorn him in just for the guest feature part, and it did not work whatsoever. It just flows terribly. The random demonic noises, which I think they're meant to be coughing, it's just so distracting. Like when you have George Clinton's part and you just hear or just random noises like that, it just sounds so off. And then you get other ones that's just cheering, like woo. It just feels like random noises just shoved in just because you don't know what else to put into that bit. It just doesn't work. Then you have auto-tune for a lot of it, which just sounds really rough on the song, and yeah, you can do auto-tune in a song and make it work, but this just feels like they randomly used it in certain points, and it is just not great. Like I mentioned with the noises, they do this with a lot of moments in the song where they just shove loads of things in at once just to kind of make it have this progressive label to it, but it just doesn't work. It's just more obnoxious and moronic to listen to, and instrumentally it's just one of the most bland tracks they've ever released. It just feels like they wanted to cram a shitload of ideas in to make you feel like you're on this drug trip, and it's actually making me wish I was on drugs to get any enjoyment out of it. But just making a song that makes people feel like they're on drugs, I'd rather just be on drugs. But no, this was pretty terrible, and I think probably one of the worst songs, as mentioned, they've dropped. This was not a fun listen. Supergrass, Don't Leave Me Alone. So this is an older song from 20 years ago, from the Road to Ruin album, but this is like a lost single. It got put in, pretty much just a B-side, in other words, that got put onto the album for the 20th anniversary. Yeah, it honestly sounds good. I don't think Road to Ruin was one of the strongest points in their career, but I personally think it sounds nice, this song, and I think it's surprising this one was left out, because it's actually quite a good sounding song. I think the instrumental is quite nice, like the guitars especially are just the highlight here, and honestly I think even the voice and everything is just all fine. Gaz is a pretty good singer, and I think he's definitely got some good harmonies, good melodies. I'm just surprised that this one didn't get used, but I mean, you can only use a certain amount of points and a certain amount of songs in an album, so that kind of makes sense why this one was left out. We have the new one by punk band Drain, Who's Having Fun. Instead of punk, they kind of go for a more pop punk on this one, which I was quite surprised by, because you get a little bit of Sum 41 energy here, but I kind of think it's interesting because they don't differentiate they don't stray away too far from their normal sound, so you still get the punk aspect, and I think it actually creates a fun contrast to the other singles. I don't think it's the strongest of the singles, but it is still nice, and I think it's an enjoyable track for what they do here. Teramaze dropped Suspended in Love. They did drop an album this year, and I completely lost track and didn't even notice, so apologies for that. But yeah, this song's okay. I think the writing was not the best. The shoulda, woulda, coulda, loving ho bit in the first chunk of the song just felt really weird, especially the whole pacing of just kind of like fast read it. It just doesn't really work into this song, and not really something I expect from prog metal of all things. But other than that, yeah, it's just kind of got decent aspects to it, some decent riffs, some decent vocals. The chorus is quite nice when you get to it, but yeah, it's just kind of a alright song, I suppose. I'm not really big on Teramaze. Their last album was fine, but I don't think this was a great direction personally, and I don't know if this is what the new album did. I have not listened to it yet. We got Paradise Lost, Tyrant's Serenade. So yeah, there's honestly my favourite of the 3 singles they've had so far. Great ideas. I think the growls in the chorus are a nice touch, and the melodic vocal delivery is pretty good on this one. The thing that really reminds me, thing that feels familiar, is the main riff of the song. It sounds like Future Proof by Many Eyes, which Many Eyes is not that intricate or that interesting as Every Time I Die personally, but I honestly think the riff just sounds similar, but has enough like detail or identity to feel like its own thing, so it doesn't feel like it's taking it entirely and just going, oh, that's a cool riff, let's just do that. It feels like it was just kind of a similar riff that ended up sounding like it, but if anything, well, I do like Future Proof quite a lot. I think this song probably is stronger using that riff, so definitely like that one more. Bearings, Quick Release. Yeah, this is kind of a pop-punk band from the pop-punk scene with fun energy in the guitars, but nothing really else. I think everything else just kind of falls flat. The guitars definitely are the highlight. I think they got some fun bounce to them. The rest of the song just kind of does a standard pop-punk sound, I guess. I haven't really anything else to say for that. Mirrorcell, Lovebomb. Metalcore in this sort of sound just feels like it's been done quite a bit. There's so many bands going for this kind of electronic kind of distortion over the metal, so you get this kind of effect over the voice, you get the kind of this distortion sound over the guitars to give it this clean cyber sound, I guess. I don't really know how to describe it well, but I feel when bands do that, it kind of becomes like an intricate norm thing that everyone does, and it loses its charm. But they do it in a way that I honestly don't think is too bad. It's not like it's over the top with it, and they have got some great writing on here. I love the chorus, I love the instrumentals on this one. It's quite surprised with it. And finally we have, well, I'm going to say it's not the track of the week this week. It would be if it wasn't for the fact that it's probably one of the new Chevelle songs. I'll go over which one it is in a sec. But Bloom Withered was originally going to be track of the week until it was Chevelle. So 1 year later, after their debut, which I reviewed and quite liked, to be honest, this wasn't a first single already. Just about when, I can't even remember when the last singles came out. I think it was 2023. They actually started rolling out singles for this for the first debut album. And 2025, we already have a single and an album window for the second album, only a year after the first. I'm quite surprised at how quick they work, but this song is absolutely killer, to be honest. There is no doubt that they have lost any creativity and instead expanding upon what worked with the first album and just exploding even further with it. The writing is incredible, the guitars just soar with absolute beauty to it, the uncleans are just insanely good on this one, and the production is done by Sam Bassel from Ocean Grove, which Ocean Grove has had some pretty good sounding clean stuff, so that's nice to see. It's one of the best songs I've heard from metalcore in a while, so I'm pretty happy with this one. But unfortunately, track of the week goes to Chevelle, Pale Horse. I've talked about it in my review, I love that one, and I think it gets it. So that's all the tracks, hope you enjoy, thanks for watching, and see you next video.